Thank you for having me. I'm really happy because this is my second time in Finland. So thank you again. And thank you, Elena, for this broad presentation. So it will give me the opportunity to go to focus on these issues that you present mainly in Morocco. As already Elena mentioned, I will talk about some results on Sahwa project and then extend my thinking about these issues and reflect on many things that you already said. So I put here some of the general trends about youth in Morocco, as already said. It's like we had these issues of high rate of employment of youth in Morocco. We have this problem of education system also, and there is a lot of reforms going on, and also a lot of public policies targeting young people in many, let's say, in many domains, including entrepreneurship mainly. There is also this idea of the low political participation of youth in Morocco, as you mentioned, informal channel, because they have this alternative way of doing politics. So this is really summarizing what you already said, and it's applying to Morocco again. Okay, so I just want to remind how we worked as a team in Sahwa project in Morocco. We chose to consider the young Morocco in the lenses of labor market entry, how they manage to get their first job, how they cope with the
This is on the qualitative side, because on the quantitative side, we
took
on all the aspects that Elena was talking about.
Yeah, this is what I am saying. I said Elena already talked about the broad presentation. So in this qualitative aspects, we focus on employment and unemployment, and we just choose to deconstruct the idea that young people are not working, are lazy, etc., by choosing this entry and by focusing, as you said, on rural and urban initiatives led by young people, which we document by ethnographic tools, etc. And we come up with the strategies that already mentioned to see how young people cope with all these problematics they're facing in their daily life. So we talk about to learn new skills, as you said, because education is not anymore helping them, or they are not trusting education system anymore. So they prefer to learn new skills, know how doing, learning by doing, like in rural areas, for instance. The uses of new technologies and internet a lot to learn many things. And there is also migration, or we can say mobility, more mobility in Morocco, like intern mobility from one city to another city in order to continue their studies or to learn or to look for a job, etc. So these are like the strategies that we come up in our results. But we said that they're like just they're not really solid strategies, let's say. They are vulnerable because they are just reproducing the same conditions, because they are not allowing these young people to get in a good situation for later. Yeah. So, I also wanted to show this paragraph from our national case study, Morocco national case study, that we said that young in Morocco are constantly torn between social collective marginality and the individual aspirations for autonomy and for independence. And this was very interesting because we tried to try to figure out if they have in their practices, in their daily practices, collective actions like to gather them in order to fight for something collective. So, like in entrepreneurs, it wasn't there. No. They are more on their individual interests, based on their like family resources, as you said, family networks, in order just to get their projects and to get their independence and their autonomy. In terms of political participation, also, as already mentioned, it's absent in the formal sense or in the usual sense, because they are not affiliated to any political party, they are not participating, etc. But they are also interested in doing politics in alternative ways, using culture, using arts, using social media, etc. So the question, as I just wanted to, so that we can think together, is what happened since we finished the Sahwa project and what happened in Morocco. So, yeah, youth and youth issues are still a problem for government, for politicians to solve. So there is, again, this official discourse of the importance of taking this issue into really into account, because it's really important for the future of Morocco. Because, as I said, Morocco is, as I said, the really demographically young country. So we need to have solutions for these issues in terms of employment, etc. So we have. We are discussing politically in Morocco what we call new development model. This is really an important issue for Morocco, and the youth and the participation of young people is very important and central to this discussion. And we find this in the speeches, the political discourses of all politicians about this importance and how to do this. And we also so that's in our Sahwa project, that the difficulty to find really a target public policy for young people is because we don't. It's not an homogeneous group, you know. It's like there are many youth. As you said, there is differences in terms of gender, in terms of urban, rural, in terms of many in social classes, etc. So it's difficult to find like one strategy that can go for all these young people. So this is really an issue. And like also we have this new national youth strategy. The government also just got a fund from World Bank, like also to promote entrepreneurship and focusing on building skills for young people in one region of Morocco. There is really many other initiatives in that perspective to promote young people, and there is this idea that we need to really review all our public policies because there were a lot of failures. As like a report from Conseil économique et environnemental, they say that I just wanted to quote this: Moroccan youth are victims of repeated political failures. And we need, as they said, to find like, as I said, a strategy that fulfill opportunities for youth people in order to really allow them to be this active in their destiny and in their daily life. So, and I wanted to, so this already was said, as I said, in Sahwa and in our results. We already know this, let's say, global and macro problematics that youth are facing in Morocco, but also in other countries documented in Sahwa project. I want to propose to you some key terms that can help us really to reflect on how to move on, or let's say how to not only we all know these findings, but how can we how to challenge our understanding in order to describe or to explain more what happens on the ground. I wanted also to talk about this book. I don't know if you know about it. It's Coping with Uncertainty, done by some of my German friends, Jörg Goertel mainly, who did this this book on. It's like not like Sahwa, but there is many countries in Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Morocco, Palestine, Tunisia, Yemen, and also Syrian refugees living in Lebanon. It's also a huge study of really large on youth in these countries, and it's very interesting to see that we are really there is interaction, but between what we are doing also here. They are interested, like in two very questions. What happens for these young people after the Arab Spring, and how do they also cope with the challenges, with the problems they are facing in their life? And the main result also is that they are using. Why I bring this book is because of these two first key terms: uncertainty and insecurity. And also these are both concepts that we used in our Sahwa project. Uncertainty is really related to the living conditions of these young people, and insecurity is more related to the future of these young, because they are seeing it as insecure in terms of the lack of resources, of hope, of trust in political institutions or other, etc. So I bring these two concepts because it really also applies, in my sense, to Morocco as well, and maybe to other countries that we studied in Sahwa project. But I added two other, let's say, local concepts used in studying Morocco. The first one is إحباط. I put it in Arabic. فصحى, إحباط, disappointment, disillusionment. You can translate like that. It's a concept that I brought from two Moroccan scholars, Tayyib El-Ghazi and Abdelhayim Mouddel, who, in a really interesting paper, tried to capture the mood of Moroccan youth after the Arab Spring in Morocco, after the 20 February movement in Morocco, and try really to document this feeling, this emotion of disappointment that these young people have felt after, let's say, the failure of their movement, of the expectations of the movement, etc. So I think this is really a concept very interesting, because it's really, as I said, capture this feeling, this mood. But both the authors, they are not taking it as a static concept. They said no, it's really in motion. Let's say it's because it's generating new dynamic. It's generating alternative ways of doing, of acting, of etc. And it is this idea of generating action that really interested me, why I put it here, because it's not just they are disappointed, okay, and they're not doing anything. This disappointment pushed them in order to change, to seek change, just to link it to the title of my presentation. So this is very interesting in terms of dynamic of alternative possibilities generated by this feeling and this emotion. The fourth one is Moroccan concept, Hogra. Hogra is really also used in Morocco in social movements by youth, by many other actors in Morocco. What does it mean? It is really a word that is used in all protests I said in Morocco to describe different situations related to the lack of or denial of political or economic rights. It's the exclusion and lack of opportunities for young people that really appears, as I said, in many protests and social movements recently in the country. And here I put like some examples of social movements that we had in Morocco recently. I will say some words about them. Mainly, they are in small cities or in rural areas. Not anymore the idea that urban activism or that social movements are occurring only on city or big cities. Here we have young people that are really demonstrating in rural areas and small cities, demanding or asking access to basic services and better living conditions. I also had to mention that even though they are like 2016 after the Arab Spring, but we used to have in Morocco such demonstrations in Morocco. It's not something new. But the term, the key term that this hugra, this feeling, is really something new, because this is the first time that they say it in that way, and they really go for it and try to build something as a collective action and asking for rights. As I say, in rural areas, it's really something new. And even though this all protests were provoked by local issues, like it might be land rights or water resources or things like that, really local issues, but they are all shared this same underlying grievance and call for social justice, social and economic development, and they are all led by young people. And this is, as I already said, something very interesting, because in our Sahwa project, in this again qualitative aspects, qualitative part, we didn't focus on social movements or collective actions because it was not important for these young people that we are documenting. They are important for others that now are more, let's say, visible in the public space, and are more in public space asking for these rights. Also, there is other social movements led by young people, like in Morocco, for instance, we have this coordination of the trainee teachers. They are they protested against also the measures in public system, and they are really asking for opportunities. And there is a lot of demonstrations also. They are leading on. They are very organized, and they are protesting in Rabat, and they are refused to carry on the training until they are having their degree, etc. So it's very interesting to see these different examples of social movements that are led by these two, as I said. Let's say the first concept are sociological, insecurity and uncertainty, but the other ones are more coming from the ground, and they are describing what I call the liminal situation of young in Morocco now, between this disappointment, but it's a disappointment dynamic that push them to act and to engage in politics and give them, let's say, agency. It's not like I was talking with Henry. It's not like waithood. It's not anymore. They are waiting for something, or they are waiting for public policy to save them, or etc. They are really making change for them by trying on these strategies and actions. And I will stop here, and if you have questions, thank you.